Check the mic. Hopefully this works. If it does, great for us. We're here on Give and Take, the always weekly, never bi-weekly show where we give and take takes. I think that's give and take takes, something to that effect. Today, we're giving takes on Part the Mistveil, and most of the topics are actually coming from you, dear viewer. We're going to ask you to throw topics at us, and we may not even do points today. I don't know, but points are kind of the crux of this, even though they mean literally nothing. Kind of the crux of this show. Yes, and that is true. XP204, the real timer, was the friends that we made along the way, and that's the way I like to think about it. So let's hear about chat topic, PTM meta, chat topic. In fact, I put that on there with the hopes that it would drum up more topics from chat because I want to hear what they have to say. But Breezy, how's it going, man?
What's up, dude? It's going well. Just living that Part the Mistveil life.
That's right. You got that cosmic awakening drip.
Oh, dude, here she go.
Dude, that picture you took early is just like daggers right there. It's so beautiful.
Did you get yours?
No, I haven't got anything yet.
Oh,
But
okay,
I'm sure
sorry.
it's on the way.
Yeah, for sure.
It's on the way.
We're right next door.
It's pretty awesome that I got to spoil that card. I'm really happy about that. Like that card, it makes me so happy. It feels like such a fun, like almost like a Timmy card, you know? That it's like a build around, but it just straight up also works. And so I'm really excited to see it in cold foil. I don't think I'm gonna do anything except put it into decks, which is the best.
I've swung for 20 before. It works. It does the thing.
That's so legit. TCG Talk, how does it go on your side of the world?
Good. Yep. Same as Parker. Just opened up some Mistveil. Gonna get to play our first Armory week with the new stuff. So pretty much got everything I needed for the most part for Assassin. I think I'm starting out playing new, so I'm missing like one card, and everybody's gonna do trades. So it should be pretty easy. But yeah, it's really good. It was fun watching the huge. The biggest ProQuest Plus I think I've watched on stream this past weekend.
That was pretty
like
cool.
108 players. Pretty much felt like a Battle Hardened, but it was a ProQuest. So that was fun.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed this weekend of watching coverage. Probably the best coverage that has been put on for Flesh and Blood. It's just like pretty legit how crazy Mansant has gotten that thing going. He's got the backup matches now set up, which is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
Ready
Without
to go.
skipping a beat either. It's just like this game's over. Here's the next one.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that he's been able to set up the backup matches, and it's so cool to see how it started, you know, as very grassroots backpack stream, and it's made its way to this. Darkodius in chat is calling me up and calling me to make an announcement, and I, for one, am more than happy to oblige. Let me see the best way I can pull this up on screen. Hold on. Let me see if I can, Twitter. Wait. No, even better. Hold on. If I go to Darkodius on Twitter, I have to scroll past 14,000 flexing posts where Darkodius did nothing else except flex about how he won 2 events in a row.
Dude, I know.
And then
Tarek was like, "It's getting cringe."
That was pretty funny. All right, Darkodius. Here it is. I think this is it, Darkodius. Okay, I've found it, and I'm posting this here. Check this out, everybody.
Look at this.
Excuse me, cough's still not gone away. If you have not already seen this, Darkodius is doing this really cool ride to conquer cancer, and is literally inches away from his goal of $2,500. He's riding a bike to conquer cancer. He can't do it alone. And after flexing on everyone that he can throw up spectral shields like nobody's business, now he's going to throw up spectral shields on a bike. And I actually expect, Darkodius, if you are not riding that bike with a handful of spectral shields in your pocket and then just tossing them out to onlookers, I am disappointed. But go and support the 2-time winner. No, that's not how you say 2-time winner. The back-to-back. Let's do it that way. The back-to-back weekend winner, as he shows everyone what to do. By the way, Darkodius, I don't know if you've already done this, but if you want to do a deck tech together on that deck and just talk about Enigma at length for as long as you want so that people can learn about it from you, I'd be happy to do that. So hit me up. We could do that together. I mean, I did ride this last year and crashed and broke my hip. Well, you need more spectral shields. That's the problem.
God.
I mean, it makes total sense.
Needed a couple ward up. Yeah.
You put up your ward, man. You got to do that. You got to get some waxing specters out there. That's what you need. All right.
Amazing run. Amazing.
Yeah, that was so fun to watch. And we were just talking about that. Watching that this weekend was super cool. Oh, good. As long as someone's putting a deck tech out, that's what I figured. As long as someone's putting a deck tech out with you, I think that's the best thing. Because the more people can learn from great players like yourself, the better I think it is.
Yeah, and Ray is incredible. That'll be a sick video.
That'll be a great video.
Yeah, heck yeah. I'm looking forward to it. And that is something that hopefully we can all put on blast for more people to watch when it comes out. So make sure people know that it's coming out so that we can all watch and learn and share with the community at large. I've been really into deck techs lately. I don't know about y'all, but I think it's one of those things that's fairly approachable from a new player standpoint to be able to latch onto and pick up and run with. And I feel like that's
Totally.
something that a lot of players could really benefit from.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the biggest learning curve, right? Is like you kind of fall in love with an archetype or a hero, or like just even like the artwork or aesthetic of a hero, but you're like, "Oh, what does it do? How do I kind of work the mechanics?" So there's no shame in just like people call it net decking or something, but sometimes that's all it takes to get a spark of inspiration and be like, aha, this is what I need to do.
I think it's
Yeah,
learning as
So
well.
a lot of people
exactly,
don't need like a Nats level deck either. I mean, I know I've
Yeah.
seen it. Sloop Dupe said it on Twitter too, and I think Manzan was talking about how there's a lot of new people on YouTube for Flesh and Blood right now. And I feel like lately I've been getting a lot of comments just saying like, can you build a cyborg guy? But it's not for an event. They're like, I'm new and I don't know how to do this. I'm seeing that a lot more lately. So I think, yeah, making deck text it maybe isn't like, hey, this is a deck that won something, but hey, here's how you approach the basis of a hero. I think should come back a little bit too. I know Josh Lau does stuff like that. We were talking about it with like Dorinthia and stuff like that. So it's really cool.
I give you both 5 points for jumping in on a topic that I didn't even prepare to pitch. Either way, though, let's go ahead and talk about the only topic I was going to discuss today with you, and that is meta reactions to Part the Mistveil. So we had a weekend. We had a weekend where we got to enjoy some Part the Mistveil action, and in doing so, we got to see not only Darkodius put on a clinic. I'm not sure if he's still here hanging out, but he put on a clinic on Enigma. But we also saw at the UK Games Expo, Jake Warburton, I believe it was, that picked up a win with that guy right there, Zen Tamer of Purpose. And then we also saw over the weekend at DreamHack a smaller ProQuest Plus on Saturday one by Matt McInnes, who's actually on the channel tomorrow doing a deck tech on Zen. And Levia picked up a win thanks to Chris Iali on Sunday. So there's a lot of different wins going, a lot of different tournaments that were going on this weekend. But as you heard, many of those that were just mentioned were Mistveil heroes. So what are your thoughts on Mistveil coming right out the gate and kind of slamming down and making its case known as a pretty solid set? TCG Talk.
Yeah, no, we've talked about this before. I think Mistveil just has, we've said before, like it's not quite to the level of Monarch and Tails, right? Like I don't think we'll ever go back that far, but the power level of the set, just the natural floor is higher. And I think as time has gone on in this like short time frame of people like testing decks, people are realizing like a lot of the each hero kind of fills a hole that the class previously had. Like Assassin has more go again now, more flexibility. Zen doesn't require on hits like Katsu did, or even like Fi did technically with like Lynx. And then Enigma is covering a lot of the, also again, the flexibility aspect that sometimes Prism ran into with poppers and like some more polarizing matchups. She can kind of play a more fair game into a lot of heroes. So I think that's just going to bode well for the meta. And I do think that all three of these heroes just naturally are going to be in the top. I think Nu's a little bit more polarizing, so she still has to prove herself, obviously, in the coming weeks. But I do think that all three of these heroes will have a really significant place, like in nationals as a whole. I think you'll see a lot of wins out of all three of them.
I tend to agree. What do you think, Breezy?
I mean, I think we're just like continuing this lineage of talented heroes just being very strong, right? Like we have well-performing ninjas in the form of Katsu and Katsu. But then you take someone with a talent like Fi, and it can do all the things essentially that Katsu can do, but has that extra spice to just really add more flavor, more mechanic, more, triumph to the little things. And Zen is just another like extension of that. It's not doing anything absolutely mind-blowing that a ninja's never done before. It's just doing them really, really efficiently. And I think it's tying in that talent. And so it's just setting forward like, oh, does this mean that moving forward, talented heroes are just inherently going to get that gas that is going to separate them from the non-talented? And if so, why would I play the non-talented versus the talented? So we got to start to find like the draw and the setbacks between talented and non-talented. Because right out of the gate, it's like, dude, these heroes are insane. Like the Mystic talent as a whole is fantastic. Ice was crazy. Earth was, go tall. So you got all these talents that are just really stacking up in favor for the class in general. So I think it's just painting that picture that, hey, like as we move forward, we got to keep an eye on these talents because it might just change the game for the class as a whole. But and coming off of the back end of heavy hitters, which was arguably like one of the most powerful sets without talents, this is such a good segue in. If this came out without heavy hitters as a precedent, the power level would be like, what just happened? But because we had explosive things like KO and Victor, we kind of set the stage for something like this to happen. So
yeah, -1 point for not mentioning Kasai. There you go.
Damn.
There's your -1 point.
I said explosive.
Yeah, you did, and you didn't mention aggro Kasai. I'm just saying.
She's just really consistent.
Yeah, why play Arachne or even arguably Azuri over Nu feels bad, man. We were actually talking about Azuri right before this, and we all kind of feel like Azuri's doing okay. But so let me follow up with this. If that's our reactions, where do you see these three heroes, Nu, Enigma, and Zen, sitting in the Nationals meta before we have any other sort of knowledge based on just what we've seen, knee-jerk reactions, hottest of takes? What do y'all think? Starting with Breezy.
I mean, this is one of those instances where like we have a big tournament right out of the gate of a set that people just haven't had a ton of time to tinker with. So you're going to have those people. I mean, this is Nationals, so you're not dealing with, rookie players or like first timers. A lot of times these are people that have been at the game, so they kind of know to expect the unexpected. But at the same time, people are brewing, people are cooking, and there's not a lot of time to discover what the secret sauce is until like day 2, and you're like, they cracked something. And I think that's what we're going to find. I think there's going to be something that's going to be a breakout deck there's some crazy good teams out there, and I think that's kind of the way to go if you're in the higher echelon of high competitive play. You surround yourself with really strong, mentally like efficient deck builders, and you take these new heroes that are just fresh blank canvases. And so I think I don't know if you haven't asked which hero is going to be the breakout, but I think that the Mystic heroes, all three of them, are going to be very high performers, like super high performers, both because they do powerful things, A, and B, because the general population hasn't had enough time to deal with what they have to throw at people.
Okay, follow-up question. Who's the breakout performer of the three?
I mean, it's Zen. It's Zen. I think it's Zen.
Until even something's with done with Art of War. Showing you how it's done with Enigma.
I do, because I think Darkodius is a Enigma in himself, and that that deck is very high skill intensive, and you have to make highly critical like pivot points. You have to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, and I think people maybe aren't all equipped with that. Whereas Zen is a very high skill intensive hero, but it does the lines are a little bit clearer, and it's a little bit easier to pick up in contrast between Enigma, where if I've never played Illusionist before, that deck is going to be really hard for me to comprehend and pick up and take to something like Nats. But the people like Darkodius are going to be the ones that take Enigma to the top, but they're going to be a field of Zen, because that's just, in my opinion, the easier of the heroes to just navigate.
TCG Talk, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so the general question is, I do think all three of them will be at the top. I think Nu's going to struggle the most, not in a bad way. I still think she's like, I guess if you did the typical tiers, like an A tier deck, right? Like tier 2 deck. She just has a couple polarizing matchups that are a little bit difficult. Enigma is like, in my opinion, everyone has like their different opinions. My opinion is, against a talented illusionist, you're not winning. If you win, it's because they made a mistake, which can happen. It's card games, but I think as an assassin player, I would rather just tech for everything else and then hope to God maybe I can skill gap Enigma one day. But overall, you're not going to win that matchup. And then Kano is not fun. It's winnable, but it's not fun. So Nu has a couple, like, you have to be a little gem lucky, I think, with Nu. But at the same time, when we talk about national season, you're talking about and this isn't a bad thing on any one country level, anything. You're talking about various level of like sizes of events, right? So I look at national season almost similar to what I look as like a really good RTN season, because you have such different level of events when it comes to how many players, and certain heroes do better in small sample sizes, if that makes sense. And I think Assassin's one of those heroes where like if you don't have a good game plan into them, they just destroy you depending on your deck. So I could see her doing good, but yeah, I'm with Breezy. I think Zen's just naturally has the highest power level. I think Enigma, if played perfectly, can play into Zen just fine and has like really good game. But overall, like Zen's just gonna do Zen things.
Yeah.
Like you can play Zen at like on a scale 1 to 10, like a 7 out of 10 in skill level and still win an event probably just because the deck can do dumb stuff. Whereas Enigma, like you have to play correctly, especially if you get into some of those bad matchups. So, but I think all three heroes will do best. But if you made a pick, it's got to be Zen. He just has the naturally just highest power level, natural floor, and he can just do 30 damage turn and then next turn block with his helmet and do another 30 damage turn. So, no other hero has really been able to do that honestly in the game ever. So, I think Zen's definitely going to be the top of the three.
Yeah, if I had to put money on any of the three having sort of that KO like air about them, with regards to results and things like that, yeah, it has to be Zen. There's a reason Zen's sitting over here. There's a reason Zen's labeled as best deck question mark on the thumbnail of this show. Zen to me is the hero that everyone's looking at and going, prove it. Prove it. And it will be surprising if he doesn't. And that will be perhaps the story of national season if Zen doesn't fairly clearly prove it. It's just a pretty nuts deck. And not even really in like a toxic way, but certainly in a powerful way. I mean, it is quite powerful in that respect, and I think it's going to show up consistency from a consistency standpoint. It's going to show up this Nationals season. So that's topic number one. And see, here's the crazy part about today's episode. The rest of it's just chat topic, chat topic, chat topic, chat topic. So I'm going to scroll back up. Yeah, there's some good ones already. I'm going to scroll back up and see what we can find here as far as chat topics are concerned. Let's see. Who would win in Fab Boxing? James White versus Brody Spurlock. I will ask both of them this question, and I want to know your honest, hot take opinions. TCG Talk. If the two of them were forced into like mortal combat, we'll just put it that way, who would win in boxing, James White or Brody Spurlock?
I would say James White, only because Brody, I don't know if anyone in the chat has ever met Brody. That dude is like the most kindred spirit individual. I can't ever see him trying to hit someone. Like, even if his life depended on it, he would like try to find a way not to fight the person. Like, Brody's just a really, really kindred spirit, whereas James, as we have seen on Twitter, has a little bit of a streak in him at times when he gets a little zesty. So I would say James.
A little zesty.
Little zesty is the most politically correct way I can put it.
All right, there you go. What do you think, Breezy?
I mean, yeah, I agree. It's James. This is so stupid. James White would win.
Come on, we
need the "nah, I'd win" meme with James
yeah, there
White.
you go. That's the one.
But yeah, I mean, one reason alone is because he's got dad strength. That's it. He's got that. He's got that dad grip.
That's such a good answer. That is incredibly good. I will say, James White strikes me as the truer pugilist out of all the out of the two of them. I think. Totally. I think Brody could put up some amount of fight. Did you know Brody plays tennis pretty heavily? So he's got some athleticism to him. So don't count him out. But if I had to put money down, it would be that way. That's the way I would go.
Because he's probably quick. He's got long stamina. He'd probably go a good couple rounds. You'd have to tire James out. If he could work his way and just tire him out, he could probably win. We're really getting into the
getting the weeds on that one. So you gotta get in his zone. You gotta get in. Just watch the left hook. You never know. Yeah. All right, Justin Sparrow says, how do y'all feel about the cards that consistently have high value, like 8 or higher, with little restrictions, or a variance like Codex, Restless Coalescence, Bonds of Ancestry, Doomsday, etc.? Breezy, what are your takes on those consistently powerful cards? Do you like them? Do you not like him?
I mean, I think of the examples, it was Codex, Restless Coalescence, Bonds of Ancestry, and Doomsday. I don't know that Doomsday bothers me at all. Like, at least not right now. I know that it's a very good card, especially between the two, Ursa and Doomsday. Doomsday far and above outperformed Ursa. Ursa was just way too many hoops to jump through. So I think Doomsday checks out. But then Codex, I feel like, is an echelon above these. Codex is just like, there's very little downside. Like, at least Restless is an instant. It can't block. So it forces you to play it or not. So it's like, hey, if you've got the counters, you better play it now and do the thing and meet the condition. Otherwise, you're going to take damage. Bonds, of Ancestry. Yeah, that's just a busted card too. I love that card. But it's also conditional. If it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And it's just a card in your banish zone, and that's kind of the end of it. So I think of all these codexes, like the least fun, except when you're playing it. Then it's like the most fun.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. What do you think, TCG Talk, about all of these powerful cards? Do you have any takes on them?
I don't have any takes on the specific cards because like they're all really situational. I think the least like interactive one is actually Bonds of Ancestry. Like Codex requires to get the full value, like you want to have the right card in your graveyard. I've found, at least in this meta so far testing, Codex actually sucks sometimes because I don't want to give an Enigma Mirage Metamorph. I don't want to give a Zen a Bonds of Ancestry. Like a lot of the top decks of the format now are learning to just stay off of Arsenal against Assassin and then let you Codex me if they can. Like they don't purposely IP themselves, but if they will, they will. They'll just dump their hand. Anyway, I just think for the base question is I like this variance a little bit more. I think the game's a little bit more fun. Obviously, it's on LSS to find that line, right? Like we teetered over the line at one point in the game's history for a little bit, and people didn't like it. But I think that this set is a good example of like teetering on that variance of that because people want to do powerful things. And I think as great as Heavy Hitters was, outside of KO just dumping his hand every turn, like you didn't feel like you were doing that powerful thing as much. And I keep telling people, like, even though the set is more complex for a new player, like introducing them as a draft or a pre-release, I think this kind of set brings people in more because you feel like you're doing cool, unique, powerful things. So if they can continue to do that, I think it's actually better for the game. So I don't mind it. None of the cards they listed I think are that big of a deal. Codex like is probably the most craziest one. Restless Coalescence is actually very difficult to get off perfectly. Like you got to build the counters, you got to like keep the ward alive, and then you got to keep it alive itself. Like it's not exactly like a done deal. So yeah, I don't have an issue with that. I like the variants. I like people feeling like they're doing powerful stuff with their decks, and I don't want Flesh and Blood to always just be a chess math game. I feel like it's not as much fun that way.
Yeah, I agree. I like the cards that have been mentioned in that post. I don't mind them just about at all. I actually think Doomsday wasn't as good as the Ursa one. I feel like that one was better, right? Eclipse was just better because you could actually play it out there.
You could, but you had to. It was very situational. Whereas Doomsday is just like, well, I don't remember what's Doomsday. You have to have X amount of 13 cards in your.
You have to have six.
Six Spanish.
Yeah.
Six.
Which is like you could do that turn too.
Yeah, nowadays you certainly can. Yeah, nowadays
it's not that hard.
Easier.
But yeah, back in the day, Ursa was like, I have to do what to get this one thing that all it takes is for like a CNC to hit it and kill it.
Yeah, but Chain was just so much better. I think that's why
Maybe
I'm just thinking.
Chain was awesome. Yeah.
Nevertheless, I very much like Restless Coalescence. I very much like Codex in general. Bonds of Ancestry is fine. I don't dislike any of those cards, and I like that there are cards that are inherently powerful. If you're not doing that, then I agree with TCG Talk. I think we're just essentially playing chess with extra steps, and sometimes that's fun. Sometimes chess with extra steps, maybe just play chess.
It's just checkers.
It's just checkers. No, that's just chess but worse. And no one wants to play a card game that's just chess but worse, right? At least I don't.
Yeah.
I certainly don't. So I'm okay with all the cards that were mentioned. I like this one. What do you think of the Mystic class, or the Mystic talent, I should say, as a whole? Besides Transcend cards, I feel you don't really run any of the other cards, or is it just the nature of talent cards? I want to say something. I think that you very easily could run many of the other Mystic cards. I think it's easy to look at it and go, well, I'm not going to run that in favor of these other cards. But I think a lot of those cards are just straight up underrated. Like is it second tenant of Chi Moon, or is it first tenant of Chi Moon? It's the Moon one that you play a blue card, next blue attack draws you a card. Like,
yeah,
that card's like super good. Like really good. And like, yeah, it's a little bit of a Timmy card, but it also can just like do some really cool things. And I'm kind of into a lot of these like Mystic class cards or talent cards, and I would like to see more of them making the cut. I get a lot of them are for the draft and the sealed portions, like limited. Right. A lot of it makes sense in limited, but I think a lot of them are sort of underutilized and perhaps underrated little gems that are just waiting to be put in the right order and sequence. But what do you think, Breezy?
Yeah, for sure. I pulled it up because I couldn't remember. It is first tenet of Chi Moon.
Yeah,
I
it
love
is.
those. I mean, especially in draft too, because they're blue block threes. Come on, dude. It's so good. And it's like deconstructed E strikes, right? So the first 10, it's draw a card +2, go again if you can string it together. So I love that they're kind of bringing back like core tenets back from like WTR days, but they're making it a little bit more in flavor and not so overpowered. So it does the thing that you want it to do situationally according to how you build your deck. You don't have to have all three, but I do love that. I also really love, I couldn't remember the name of it, the D react. It's just a rare dense, not dense blue mist, deep blue.
Unravel
Oh,
Direction.
No, the 0 for 2 that gets +1
For
if
each
you
one.
have, yeah, for each blue in your pitch. I love that card,
Big
especially
Blue
if
Sky.
you're the big blue sky. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
I think that card's great. I think that's a solid defense reaction, especially for a mystic talent. I think that, especially if you're going to be trying to activate cheese and do things on your opponent's turn, you're going to have maybe, there's going to be a high percentage of times where you're going to have a blue pitch, especially if you're Enigma.
Yeah.
So I think that card in Enigma is fantastic. You can get that up to 4 or 5. I've had it happen before. So I think there's some that are really good. Some of the other ones, like the titles that give +2 if you played a blue card and things like that. Kind of Blitz deck precon kind of filler, which is great, but no, I don't
feel
think
like
you just solely
cards.
stick. Yeah. I don't think you solely stick to the Transcend, which, by the way, I think each and every Transcend they knocked out of the park, not one of them feels bad. Like, there's a cause for each one of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredibly powerful for them to do. Like, the 1 or 2 of them could have been weak, and it could have been very favored. Like, oh, you only play the 3, duh. There's cause to play all 8.
Yeah.
Like, you could literally, it's hard to decide which ones you want to play. They're all that good.
100%. I totally agree. What do you think, TCG Talk?
I think this set personally is like a culmination of how talents are going to be moving forward and how they should be. Because like if you really back it up, right, you go all the way back to Tails, and you had just the Earth, Lightning, and Ice cards. There were a couple ones in there, right, that we can all remember, like, but most of them were tied to a class. Like if you really think about like just the pure like elemental cards, there wasn't a lot that were played, right? Like you think of like the funny, like I'm just trying to think of a head, even stuff I pulled up in my head, like Inspire Lightning or whatever. That's a Runeblade card. Like there wasn't a lot of like true elemental cards. I actually can't think of any that
There's
were
like
just elements.
rejuvenate
Rejuvenate and
something
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
where you just like gain a life or something. Just
Yeah,
like, what?
and then
What
you
is this?
and then you look at Uprising, and all the same thing. There was no pure Draconic cards, very little. There was the Tome of Firebrand, and then there was like obviously the Fabled, but most all of them were tied to a class. There hasn't really been a set yet, talented, that had just a full play set of talented cards with no class tie. So this is the first time we've ever seen that, and so I think they're starting to figure out like, okay, how can we make like draft worthy cards, but also little like intricacies of people putting stuff in their decks? Because people got to think like not every card is made for this hyper competitive purpose. Some of them are made for draft. Some of them are made to do funny, stupid stuff. I literally we saw new last night on Mask of Malicious Manifestations with 3 attacks in their deck, Cosmic Awakenings, and they were just playing like all these go again, like they were playing some of the Mystic like defense stuff, and they were just trying to set up a 20 damage turn. It was hilarious. So like I think they're trying to find that balance of like hyper competitive cards, draft cards, and like fun synergy cards. Like he mentioned, Parker mentioned one. Another one is first 10 of Chi win, the one that gives the next blue card you play go again. Like being able to play that in Illusionist to give your Spectre go again. Yes, it's a very minute interaction, and it might not be worth it, but it's something it's an option. I do think some of them were just meant for draft, like Rising Tide and Spillover and Droplet. Those were amazing in draft. I love playing those in new, like being able to do Beckoning Mistblade and then play, Droplet and then react on it. Like, so just really fun stuff. So I like it. I think they're at appropriate power level. And I think this set is actually like an upgrade from Uprising and Tails both, because neither one of them really had a full play set of just talent cards.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like it is definitely a step forward for the talent idea as a whole within the game. Lightning round time. Give me your answer as a yes or no, and one sentence as to why. This is the true test for your hot takes. Give us your take. Is Enigma the most well-designed illusionist from Justin Sparrow? Yes or no, and one sentence to describe why. TCG Talk.
No, I think Jeremiah was the best one.
Do you want to expound upon that to finish the sentence?
I just like I think Jeremiah was the most fair. I think Jeremiah will end up being the most fair. There was a lot of things you had to concede. Phantasm was still a thing. You had to manage your board state. Yes, she created some really polarizing matchups like every illusionist, but I think she is will end up being the most fair illusionist that's been made.
Extra point for just a fantastic answer, and brevity is great. Breezy, go.
I'm God. I'm gonna say
it's fun.
no. I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say yeah for sure that she is. And why? Because it doesn't deal with Phantasm, and I think that the fact you have to measure, you have to weigh your ins and outs. Yes, your wards can't be popped, but by Phantasm that is. But they're also so fragile. She's just a big glass cannon. So I think that there's something to be said about that because none of the previous illusionists could have been said about that. You got Prism, which is a powerhouse. You got Dromai with overrunning dragons. I don't know. You got Glass Cannon, little Enigma. Don't be scared of her. She's fun.
I'll give you an extra point because I like the description of a glass cannon Enigma just walking around with all these tiny spectral shields. But I think the illusion is that she's a glass cannon. And the fact that she can protect all of them with the most broken defense reactions in the game of Sink Below is actually a terrifying illusion in and of itself. Continuing on past our lightning round, I'm just going to keep firing off in order because these are some fantastic topics. Fab Rock NY says, do you think a full Arcane set will be released at the world premiere in Tampa? If not a full Arcane set, where will we visit next? Already onward towards the next set. I can feel that. I feel a little bit of that. What do you think, Breezy? Do you think we're going to get a full Arcane set? And if it's tied to a region, where do you think it's going to be tied to?
Gosh, I want to say yes. I mean, I feel like it's been the most hinted at, or at least not the hinted at, but James White's mentioned it multiple times, obviously probably due to people bringing it up because there's just a lot of hype around it. I think now is the time as well. We've had a good session break without heavy influence of Arcane. Obviously, we had Dromai who dabbled in the, Burn Them All. They've got the Illusionist little tinklings there, but I think now's the time, especially with the power level of the new heroes that we're at. I think it'd be perfect and you've got a lot of blues. We've just had a huge emphasis on blue pitch matters. We've got, new mechanologist equipment finally for Teklovasen and really any of them that want to run that AB slot and have really powerful equipment as well. So I think now's the time. Where are we going? We have to go to the actual Demonastery. I want to go to the actual Demonastery, not just like Volcor shores. I want to go into the floating isle of the Demonastery. I don't know how you make that work with all Arcane, but I don't work for LSS, so I'll let them figure that out.
I like that take. That's a solid take. Breezy, what do you think? Sorry, Breezy, TCG Talk, what do you think?
Wow. I was like, I can go again. I can say the same thing.
Loop it back around.
Someone on chat can call me on it. So James White has mentioned the All Arcane set several times, but I'm almost positive, and I could go back because the first time he mentioned it was in the original Fluke interview. That was the first time. Then he mentioned it again in our interview, but he's never ever actually gave a deadline or a date. Someone said by the end of this year, and he's like, maybe, like every time. And I think a lot of Fab Twitter took that and because I remember at the beginning of the year, people were like, oh, he confirmed it. I'm like, where did he confirm it? Oh, in the interview. Oh, where? Oh, I know he did. Like every time. And I've never personally heard him say the sentence like it will be the end of this year. So since I don't have that confirmation, I am gonna say no. If we do get it, I won't be surprised, but I would say no because we're going to Monarch at the start of the year. We know that. That is confirmed.
Yeah.
And Monarch's always had a Arcane hero in it. I don't know if that matters, right? It might not matter, but I just think unless now what Parker just said, which is really funny, is if we actually went from Demonastery back to Solana and all that, that would be kind of cool. do 2 halves of the part 3 story, that would be really awesome. But I don't know where we would go. That's a hard thing. Like, because like the first part of the question is I don't think it will be a full arcane set, but the second part of this question I have no idea. I could do this for bonus points because I know Steven will give me bonus points for it. Maybe we go to Atlantis underwater with the reminder text that was talked about. No, I'm just kidding.
I was actually wondering if anyone was going to bring that up.
I do think that's a hint, and it's just whenever I don't know if you all see this. I mean, y'all have in Dynasty and stuff. Whenever LSS starts to hint at stuff in reminder text, it normally means we're like a year out. It seems. So I do think we'll get it. I just don't think it'll be till like late next year, probably, maybe even the year after. But yeah,
I will say we did get the reminder, the story parenthetical text on Smashing Performance, and then immediately got it paid off in the following. Because I think Smashing Performance was from Bright Lights, yeah?
Yeah, and then it said...
And then immediately paid off in Heavy Hitters, right?
Whatever.
Yeah, so I'll say Atlantis, and that's a fun one. Because if it's not Atlantis, I have no idea. Because the only place we haven't been in the original lore map is to Monastery.
And technically, technically Savage Lands, because Savage Lands, the deathmatch arena falls between Volcor and the edge of Solana and the Savage Lands. So it's like at this sort of meeting point between all 3 of those places, those regions. So there's technically the Savage Lands still to explore, and technically the Demonastery still to explore. You could perhaps argue that we've kind of been there already, in that the original Monarch set was both locations, as they were both converging to fight. And I would be fine with that was the argument. But yeah, it's a very interesting question, because like, where do they go if it's all arcane? Like, do we go just like full on Arcane Rising Welcome to Wraith and just show the entire like world of Wraith within a set? That could be a thing, especially if from a storyline perspective, if Magic immediately just starts running amok within the world of Wraith, which is technically, again, from the story perspective, already happening in Volcor, sort of happening in Aria, and hinted at maybe in a few cards here from Part the Mistveil. Like, it could very well be that an all arcane set depicts the moment when Magic, as it's well known in the world of Wraith, completely falls apart, goes haywire, and then just is untamed, uncontrolled. And that would be a very cool like thesis for a set. Like, here's what it looks like in Volcor, and Icelander is trying to figure out how she controls both fire and ice at this moment, because she's now gifted with both. Here's what it looks like when the veil completely rips and Arya is now, just completely exposed, and the flow is now moving everywhere. Like, this could be a thing that could be very cool, and maybe it takes place at the end and sets up the end of Monarch. I'd be floored by that. But at the same time, pirates, man. So let's go to the ocean. I don't know how they're gonna
do that. I don't know how they're gonna do it.
But I'm interested.
Just summoning your dolphins to attack your enemy.
I'm doing that.
I can never pronounce it, but is it Arethiel? I'm a country.
Arathiel.
Yeah, I mean, there's also like that alternate, like, not alternate world, but like the underworld, whatever you want to freaking call it, right? We haven't been there. Technically, they could.
It is it is the mirror. It is like the mirror realm.
It's like an alternate dimension,
universe,
or like just another realm, another dimension that that was accessed via a broken mirror. Gosh, the lore. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. The lore of Flesh and Blood is so freaking cool that I always want to go and like take the time to do a video, but I just feel like I can't do it justice on how cool the lore is, and I get intimidated every time I sit down to do a lore video, and so I keep putting it off, but I think people would enjoy it. Probably wouldn't get a ton of views, but I would like doing it. Lore videos. Yeah,
sometimes you gotta scratch your own back sometimes. There's some great lore content people out there, and I really appreciate the work they do.
Yeah,
so be one of them.
There should be more. There should be more. Okay, next question. Who is the best new Blitz hero? What do you think, Breezy?
Like out of the I didn't know. Is that the whole question?
Yep. Who's
like
the
out
next,
of the 3?
Who's the next blue or the next new?
man. I'm gonna say Enigma.
And why?
I don't know. I think because the games typically, if you can do the big powerful things like your miraging or whatever Miragai and you're restless really early, I mean, it's just it just snowballs so quickly. And with the 40 card deck, you can have access to these big powerful things really, really quickly. The same can be said for Zen and Nu, of course, but I guess the counter to my own answer is that Nu can just like mill your deck in like 3 turns. But Enigma has the big protective. She's got her whole deck is a brick wall, in the sense that it's ward. So in the time that it takes you to just chip through that, your own deck is starting to thin, and all of a sudden I can start to spiral things out of control. So that'd be my answer.
What do you think, TCG Talk?
I'm split. My really safe answer, I actually think, is Vincent. I think Eulogy is going to make Vincent stupid, scary, and Blitz. She already was kind of scary. So
I don't know if I'd describe her as new, though.
That's why I was like, are we talking about new people or new?
Yeah, the new, like, I don't think any 3 of them are going to be that good in Blitz, personally. I think
out of the 3, you have to pick.
I think all of you are wrong, but keep going.
I don't think any of them. If you made me pick the 3, then I guess I would say probably Enigma, but Arcane also sucks for her in Blitz. Like, there's a lot more Arcane issues with Blaze and with Emperor. So yeah, I'm not even gonna say her. No, if I had to pick, I'd actually probably pick Nu. Like, if I was gonna play one of them skirmish, I would play Nu.
Okay.
Because she can just do it.
All right.
But
so
I don't think any 3 of them will be Blitz relevant. Personally.
All of you missed the correct answer. The correct answer was actually Blaze. Blaze is a new Blitz hero, and she is the best of the 4 of them because she is the only one that can deal consistent arcane damage that people don't want to respect, and so therefore the answer is now Blaze. So you could have had extra bonus points if you would have just picked the wizard, but you didn't. Sorry.
Dude, it's messed up.
That was your choice. You could have done it. You could have. Hey, that was a low-hanging fruit. A question from
it's a trick question.
It's never. Come on. It literally was in the thing. Best new hero. All right. Next question. And this one's kind of a fun one. Does Cloaked have a future in Fab after Part the Mistveil? I like this question because like I think there's a surface level answer, but I think the more you think about it, I think the answer perhaps changes a little bit. What are your thoughts, Dylan?
I think my initial answer is no, I don't think it will. Not that it will never come back. I just don't think it will be consistent. We haven't seen LSS really like take unique keywords and bring them back. Usually it's like a one-off thing. Like each set has its own stuff. So until we see that differently, I would say no. Also, if you have a ton of Cloaked in the game, you start to, this is my opinion, it's more of an OP thing. It gets really weird at events. Like there's a lot of stuff, a lot more checks and balances have to happen if that's rampant, in my opinion. Like making sure you make the person flip at the end of the game so you can make sure it was the legal card, like playing it correctly, put them in the right slot, all that stuff. So I think that's a really weird mechanic to have rampant in your game. So I don't think they'll go back to it. I think it's going to be unique to this set.
Okay. What do you think, Breezy?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at the question. Does it have a future in Flesh and Blood after Part the Mistveil?
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say because I agree. I think that it just makes the most sense in this set because you have this Mysteria. It just fits in with the theme of being cloaked. I'm trying to wrap my head around of like what class would even want this aside from these mystic talented heroes. But as far as what they utilize or what they're able to do with this suite, I think it's fantastic, especially Enigma's cloaked abilities. And now with New Moon, that's pretty sick. The cloaked making use of the kimono and the diadem of Dream State. Those kinds of things I think are going to be really fun, but I don't know that they're going to like go out of their way to make sure that it like becomes a mainstay in the core mechanics of the game.
I see. My surface level answer when I saw the question was no, but the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, yes, in moderation it could exist. First of all, I think it's very easily possible that it could have a future in the expansion slot. I think you could print an expansion slot, like a piece of equipment or two along the way, that has Cloaked built in, that would be able to feed, especially if it's just Mystic talent, feed all 3 classes. That could be pretty cool. But I also think you could just use Cloaked as an assassin keyword in like future sets. Doesn't have to be huge, but thematically it plays pretty nicely in for the assassin side of things. You mentioned new, and I think you could definitely include very moderately, because I actually agree with Dylan. I think if there is a ton of Cloaked equipment, not only does it make it kind of a bit of a headache at a variety of classic constructed tournaments, but I also think that the more you add, the less enjoyable it will be to try and pick what your opponent is probably running and play around. But I still think that's way far away. I think you can add a lot more Cloaked to the game before the Cloaked pool is just annoying past that. That being said, I think the answer that I would give is, yeah, I do see that there could be a future for the Cloaked keyword past this set. I just don't expect it to be very large. So that's my take on it. Now, this one is going to stir up some people.
It's yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah, okay. There it is. Dylan, then, favorite art of the set? Can you answer better than yes?
Hey, you skipped a question from our good friends at MinMax Games.
Oh, you're right. Actually, I was setting that up earlier. We should go right to that one. Okay. Question: is it now safe to unban Duskblade? First of all, we also have to shout out none other than MinMax Games. By the way, I got a bunch of cases in from MinMax Games today. So we're going to do some box openings and maybe even some box battles from MinMax Games. Sponsor of the channel. You can pick up your boxes. You can pick up your singles from MinMax. They didn't even tell me to say that. I just decided to say it because I like him. But they also want to know if they should unban Duskblade yet. Breezy, go ahead.
I got to give me some of those sleeves. Those are so clean.
Yeah,
I love those sleeves.
Yeah, Riptide right now is in these sleeves.
No, I don't think. Okay, yes. I'm going to say yes because I am who I am. But truly, no, at the core of who I am, it's all a little bit of like a spin. Like, I don't think that it's really that bad. But I'm also not a dev, and they see things into the future where they're like, we can't do it. We just can't do it. Yep. I think that if it's going to be a crutch that they like have to constantly check and keep in balance, and it hinders the class and the development of Runeblade down the line, then keep the card. Grow the class as a whole. Don't let this be the thing. Because if that's the case, give me Skeleton and Duskblade and then leave. Never make a new Runeblade card ever again. And then just give me those 2 cards and we'll be fine.
There you
go. But don't do that. Give me new stuff. So
there it is. What do you think, TCG Talk? Is it time to unban it?
I don't think it really would be. I would love to see how it would be in a Warmonger's Diplomacy game, because I truly think if that card was legal, Diplomacy would just be in every deck that could possibly run it, and it wouldn't matter anyway. But I've tested this with friends. Like, I let them use Duskblade, and I was running Katsu with Plunder Run in Warmonger's Diplomacy, and I literally turned off their Duskblade every single game in the early to mid game. I don't think it would be that bad, but I do agree. It can't be unbanned solely for the reason Parker stated. It completely limits the Runeblade class. Runeblade already is going to have to get a revamp because of Warmonger's Diplomacy being in the game. The class cannot function the same way anymore. So that's probably why you haven't seen Runeblade in a while, is like because they're having to revamp the way the class goes. So yes, I'd like to see how it would be, but no, because I want Runeblade to have a future, and it can't have a future with that card in the game.
Thank you.
There you go. Okay, now to the favorite art of the set. What is your favorite art in this set? Feel free to scroll through the old viewer on Fabrary. Pick your favorite art in the set, and then we'll popcorn it. Anyone want to go first?
You're not gonna pull it up, are you?
Mine hasn't changed. Mine is the Marvel Rising Sun Setting Moon since the day that card was revealed.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. I think I can
have
do
that
this.
Card.
If I go like this, if I go like that, and then if I go like this, can I actually get it to pull up? This would be just goated right now.
It's gonna do it.
Okay,
it's gonna happen.
Go. Let's go.
Dylan, I have this card. You want it?
Dude,
I would actually think about it.
Oh, what's that, Steven? What's that? What's that little sliver there you got?
Did it work?
It's
am I gonna have to do this? There we go. Did it work?
Oh, here we go.
Crushed it. Okay, well, Rising Sun Setting Moon.
Yeah.
All right, where do they put all the
Nailed
chi
it.
here? Where are all the chi? Here we go. Here we go.
Right there, right there, right there. Yeah.
Where is
Right
it?
there.
Where is it? Where is it?
To the right.
Passover is the
On
On
the
the
one.
right. You just
No,
don't
no,
have
to
a
the
Where
right.
is it?
action.
Where is
Down.
it? Where is
Yeah,
it?
right
Where is it? Where is it? I'm just messing with you. I just wanted to see how long I could bait you.
Dude, I was like,
Oh,
dude,
you know
are
what? No,
talking-
we should do Fab TCG. Fab TCG. Look, if we go here, we can go to their new
yeah.
viewer, their card database. Let's go. We could see this. This thing is not ready for it at all. Rising sun, setting moon.
Yeah, it's gonna be all wonky.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to move it around live. Okay, rising energy. That's the one
Ugh.
everyone wanted, right?
Rising solar tide.
Right. Yeah. There's the card. That's the one. Okay, so now we have this, and see now if I just press this button, I'm sure it will work. First try.
You literally had it and just
Shut
decided
up.
to change.
Shut up.
Change.
Let me cook. Let me cook.
Here we go. Here it is.
Okay, here it
Oh,
is.
wow.
There,
So
there.
little.
See, look at this. It only took tens of seconds to get it to look. See, but the Marvel is what matters. Like, we can't show the non-Marvel trash. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
It's
that
not
wasn't the Marvel.
that was a
That's true.
non-Marvel. We have to show this
That's right.
beauty.
That's right.
Yeah, that
Okay,
card
there you go.
is. That's pretty good.
That card's
Mhm.
pretty good, dude. That's
Look,
the
look,
one.
flip
That's
the card. Boom, boom.
Whoa.
I have opened 2 cases, and I have not opened any of the Chi Marvels yet, but I did open a Hero Marvel and no, I opened
got
2
the
Hero
kitty cat.
Marvels. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. What do you got? The cat? You got the kitty
Yeah,
cat?
that's
Dude, that's the one I
certified.
want. That one is
Oh,
cute.
see, yeah, that's pretty sick. Okay, so that's your pick. I like that pick. I'm gonna give it some points after all was said and done. It took me forever to get there. I like that card. That's one of my top ones.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Breezy, what's your take on this?
Dude, I'm not even saying this sounds so milky. I'm not saying this just to say
Milky?
this. Cosmic Awakening, yeah, like I'm just milking it a little. Cosmic Awakening, easy. Because it has that Sonata Galaxia,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, like cotton candy cosmic. Ooh, it's so good. It's just such a. I wish this was a rainbow full art.
Yeah.
Or extended art.
Yeah,
It's
I do
just
too.
there. Why did they stop? Why did they put the white? Just get rid of it. I was hoping that this promo, when I heard about it, I was like, oh, maybe it's EA, but it's not.
I'm actually
But
not sure
still.
that the art actually extends that far. That's the thing. Because
She's got to have feet.
well, yeah, but it's only
Maybe
gonna
not.
go. It's only gonna go so far,
Oh
right?
yeah.
I think that's
true.
the
That's
thing.
true.
But I will say, Olga
That is true.
Tereshchenko did an absolutely phenomenal job. And okay, this was my spoiler card, which is why Breezy was trying not to pander for points, but I'm giving
I'm
it
really
to him
not.
anyway because he picked my spoiler card. So good choice.
This card is so
Um,
beautiful.
But
It was honestly this or Unravel Aggression, which share some of the
that was
same
pretty
like
good. Yeah.
kind of swirly, pretty colors.
Yeah, this card, when I saw it, so here's the thing. I got the email in the morning at like 6 a.m. is when I saw it. I got the email overnight. So I woke up to this card. I looked at that art and I was like, oh my God, I can't go back to sleep.
Don't even
This
care what
is
it says.
insane. It's insane. This is insane. This is such a beautiful card. And I can't wait to see it in person in cold foil. Like that, as I was really deeply hoping that this was the this like spoiler card for everyone. You know what they call it? The content creator, like
the creator
thank
promo.
you card. Yeah, the creator promo. There it is. I was deeply
Mhm.
hoping that was the case because I think it's more than worthy of that, and I think it perfectly slots in as a sideboard card for that purpose.
Crazy.
It's
yeah.
insane. It's insane. I am still like I'm hard pressed for me personally not to go with the let's see if I can pull it back up on the other screen now after I've made all the changes to the
Oh
bounding.
my gosh.
The Marvel, I'll just put it on this one. Passover, like this one still to me just is just
Oh, yeah.
jaw dropping with
For sure.
the Marvel art on it. Like, are you kidding me? Like the way
Very,
that the
very
blue just cuts and the orange on one side and the other, it's just perfection. Like this is so well balanced from a composition standpoint that for me this is probably taking the cake. I don't know if I'll own all of the Marvel Chi cards, but if I'm gonna own some of them, I mean, this is probably on top of my list. Olga is
The
easily
rainbow
my favorite
foils-
fab artist right now. I
Mhm.
agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say the rainbow foil buy a box promos are a good substitute and absolutely beautiful if
Yeah.
you can't get the Marvels because
I have
they're
5 of
extended
them.
art, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
they
they're
are.
extended art. Yeah,
I
I got 5 of them as well.
Yeah, I need to get the other 3. I need to get the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, Passover is not one of the ones I got, so I need to get my hands on Passover, which is something. So I gotta either buy more boxes. I don't know if I can still buy boxes, but yeah, I didn't get. Let's see which one I didn't get. I didn't get Passover. Let me look at the list. I didn't get Homage to Ancestors and Drop in the Ocean. Those are the ones that I'm missing. Got the other ones. That's
Dylan
a good
got
one
them
though.
all.
That's a. Oh, did he?
I think didn't you say you got them all?
What?
Don't you have all the buy a box promos?
All the Rainbow Foils, yeah. I have one of each.
What the?
Must be nice.
How'd he do? Look at him. He's flexing. He bought that many boxes.
It's like he bought 2
I did
cases.
buy that many. Yeah, it's like I bought 2 cases.
I mean, I get that. I feel that. That's a good. I think that's a good question. Okay, let's pop a couple more questions before we round things out. Let's see. Oh yeah, you got them all sleeved up and everything over there. I like that.
Yeah, they're all my new deck.
I like that.
All 8.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I was gonna say like some people are running 7, some people are running 8.
Yeah, I think I'm on 6 the main. But yeah.
What's your side?
Oh, I could see some sideboards. Yeah.
My one side is actually the Sacred Art. It doesn't go in every matchup.
Oh, straight up, the new Sacred Art definitely comes out. I agree with you there.
It's very clunky.
All right, Nathan Crawford, none other than the Nathan Crawford, fired this question off a while back, but let's go ahead and ask it. How are we feeling about the more polarized matchups that have come about with the release of Part the Mistveil? Ward gives the illusion that every deck has the chance, but it feels like that's not the case. I want to hear from TCG Talk first because you've been doing some testing on this front.
Yeah, I don't mind it, and mine's more of a philosophical reason. So the game is growing. We're getting more heroes, right? We're like what in the high 20s. I always forget the exact number. It's like 27, something like that, 26 heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's unless they just completely. There might be to a point where they can find a sweet spot where they're bringing in as many heroes as they're living legend every year. I think that's like their goal. But for the foreseeable future, I don't see that happening. I'd say we're going to have like maybe 4 to 5 heroes a year living legend, but we're getting like 15, right? Or 10, something like that in that range. And so all I have to say, I think we're going to have, I'm okay with the polarizing matchups because we're going to have to get used to that. If we ever start to get to the point where we have 30, 40, 50 heroes in a game, which will happen, unless they make some type of crazy, like fundamental change to the game, like you're going to have to be okay with polarizing matchups. If you think of like, I always use like video games for this, like think of like League of Legends and Overwatch in games that have like now a wide hero pool.
Mm-hmm.
Your main, like, yes, you can counter pick, right? But your main, you have like certain bad matchups, and you have to be okay with that. Now those people can like counter on the fly a little bit easier, obviously, than a card game where you pick one deck. However, I think players, especially like really highly competitive players, are going to have to eventually be okay with that. Like either you're going to pick a middle of the road hero that doesn't really have like a hardcore strategy, which also hurts you, but doesn't have a polarized matchup, or you have to pick a really strong hero who's on one side of the spectrum. And it might not be this year, it might not even be next year, but eventually, like, you're gonna have to get used to that. So, like, I'm okay with that because I want to see the game go that way. I would love to see someone say, okay, I'm gonna play an assassin which has really good matchups into these 5 top decks, but these 2 matchups are really bad, and I just have to be okay with that. I think a lot of high-level fleshball players don't want that. They want to have a plan for everything, which is fine. That makes complete sense. But I think you're gonna have to get used to, like, just not having a plan for everything. Like me and Assassin, I pretty much conceded the Enigma matchup, and I'm okay with that. So if you choose to play that class, that's what you got to do. So short answer is, yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. It makes sense to me.
What do you think, Breezy, on the polarized matchup side of things?
Oh, dude, I've only ever played polarizing matchups. That's just all I know. That's all I know, dude. But yeah, like Dylan's saying, from like the higher competitive, higher tier players that just want the answer to every deck, they want their package essentially to be the highest performing and be the best performing into the broadest spectrum, which obviously makes sense. These people are doing this like they're traveling. There's a lot of financial investment, so they're looking for financial gain in return. This is not just a fun thing they do for funsies on Saturday. They're actually, professional players. But like Dylan's saying, the answer is now becoming like you have to be able to pivot and there's not just going to be a one size fits all in any one given meta anymore. You know, it's not just an easy, Starvo, play Starvo, win games, play Icelander, win games. They're trying to actively move away from that. And I think that that's really cool. And for the broad, you know, for the more general population, that's really cool. For those that are at the top tier, it can be very frustrating and very like kind of stressful, especially in the days and weeks leading up while you're just trying to figure out the deck to play. I understand that that can be frustrating, but for me, that's okay because I'm playing C tier anyway. So I know that my decks are going to be polarized, but whenever I do get those wins, it makes it just all that much more sweet, you know? Means I'm making progress in my own ways. Or maybe it tempts me into playing something that I normally wouldn't, which is also part of the strategy if I'm a game developer and saying, how can I get people to try things outside of their comfort zone? Expand the meta, expand the horizons of what's good and what's polarizing.
I will say this, from a personal perspective, I don't personally love it. Like, I would like to be able to play my hero and feel like I have a chance in every matchup, but I think that is a selfish, inward looking thing. Like, it's only considering myself and like the selfishness of wanting to play just the one hero. Let's use Kasai for example, right? I very much enjoy playing Kasai. I think she's a fantastic hero, but the more bad matchups she gains, the worse it feels when only playing Kasai. The nice thing about this game is that there are a ton of wonderful heroes to play, and I don't have to just play Kasai. Now, you could say, okay, well, it's hard to just go and get all the cards for another hero or another class like that and just kind of upend and buy all these new cards and things like that. And you might be right on some level. But again, I think that there's a lot of players that would make that argument that are the enfranchised competitive players that are saying, well, I have to go and get this whole new competitive deck. No, you don't. You do if you want to play in nationals and play something that's really good, sure, but you're signing up for that. Like, you're choosing that life. You don't have to spend $600 to run top of the line deck in new meta. You can just play at your armory with a $200 Vinset deck that chat built for you, and you throw up every time you see a stupid yellow freaking, I don't even remember the name of the card, Rifted Torment. Like, I don't know why chat picked that for me, but you know what? I can take those 60 and I can run it out there, and I even got myself a blue foil alpha sync below in there, and that's some spice. So look, all I'm saying is that the game is only as polarizing as you let it be, the higher up you go. So I think there's definitely arguments both ways, and I think it's totally okay to interface with the game in a different way than you perhaps always want to. But it's definitely a topic for an entire episode, which is kind of funny.
That's a whole thing.
Yeah. Huntseeker27, aka Mod of the Stream, asked this chat topic, and this is going to be one of our final ones. Is there a specific expansion slot card in Mistveil that you feel will keep a hero/class relevant in the meta? What do you think, Breezy?
Let me take a gander because all I can really remember is the Vinset because we ball. Let me see.
You're not wrong.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Teklevasen, for sure. All the suite of Arcane Barrier immediately makes him have agency into anyone that has arcane damage. Yep. I'm not saying it's an instant win, but now he has some game, you know? That was just an auto loss handshake, go get some lunch if you pair into a Kano as Teklevasen. I mean, there's only so many Rusted Relics and Oasis Respites you can hope to see in your deck. But now we've got some more what the Evo recalls. Card's such a good call. I wish that they just printed it in bright lights. Like, I don't know what the holdup was and why it couldn't have just been part of the initial release. I can think of 4 cards. I can probably go through the bright lights card list and say those 4 cards didn't need to be printed. Instead, print these. But nonetheless, at least they're here now. That and of course, Eulogy, Eloquent Eulogy.
Yeah, that card is quite good. Eloquent Eulogy, I think, is
card good.
Yeah, I would agree with that a lot.
0 for 5, make a Eloquence token. I heard that's good.
I do too. Look, I put it on the screen just for you. There it is.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, cool. And I love that each one has its own little quip that helps kind of supplement, so it's not just blanket Arcane Barrier. I love it. I think it's great.
TCG Talk, what's your take?
I can't believe y'all are missing this. It's Dust from the Stillwater Shrine. I don't know what you're talking about. The German
Yeah,
card.
obviously.
Sure,
No,
okay, yeah,
no,
scrap this.
it's definitely Eulogy. Like Eulogy, if you're talking about keeping a hero relevant, it's Vincent because Vincent wasn't relevant before Eulogy, and Eulogy puts Vincent from playing for passion, and that's no disrespect. My main hero is Arachne. I get it. But it now puts Vincent into the like if someone's bringing Vincent, I'm like, okay, it kind of makes sense. Like that card definitely is by far probably the most relevant for the specific hero. If you didn't do that one just because we mentioned it, it would actually I actually think Shadow Realm Horror keeps Leviah not relevant, but puts her back into like in my opinion, now Leviah players have little excuse. That card's so gas. Like, what more could they give Leviah to make Leviah a top deck, right? Like, it's now officially like, okay, you have every tool you possibly could have without breaking the hero. Like, let's win some games now.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
and she won this weekend. So, and I love the hero, so I hope it does well. But yeah, Eulogy takes cake. It immediately puts Vincent from playing for passion to like mid tier, in my opinion.
I will go out on a limb and say I think Kindle actually does a lot more than a lot of people would at first think. Because I feel like when it first came out, people were like, this card either sucks or the card completely changes how you build the deck. But I actually think that it's totally somewhere in the middle. And you run it and you change a few things about how the deck functions. But like you said, it's just good. And it keeps Kano relevant into a meta with like pretty easy access to AB3 if people want it. And that's the interesting part. Like, how bad do you want it? Like, do you want AB3? Because you're running a lot of blues as a Mystic hero, and you could side that out. But this card kind of says it's okay if they have AB3 sometimes, because it can just act as an extra staff activation, like Crucible again. And it also draws you a blue, so it's also an E-Pot. And those two simple facts make this card allow Kano to kind of stick around in perhaps a meta where he might not. And any extra point adding to Kano from a win or something like that means that Kano gets that much closer to rotating, and then everyone stops complaining about him and moves on to the next wizard hero, which is coming soon. And yeah, someone pointed this out in chat. They did indeed mention that we were getting 15 heroes this year, which means that whatever the last set is, it's going to have 6 heroes in it like it did with heavy hitters. Which is kind of interesting.
12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah.
So
I want to say one thing about Kindle is that AMP 1 scares me because there's going to be like an AMP 4 somewhere. And I hate that. Scares the crap out of me, dude. But also I think that this card is just so funny because it just proves that Kano players are playing a totally different game. Because from a non-Kano player, this card looks so dumb. But then in the eyes of Kano, they're like, it's broken. And it literally says, if you have no cards in your hand, draw one. This is so stupid. So like any other class that I don't play, I can look at these expansion slots and be like, okay, that makes sense. I could see that. But this, I'm just like, you're playing a totally different game, dude. I don't even know what game you're playing when this is good. But I've seen people do it. You've kind of broken it down. It took time to explain why this is good, and I think that's why Wizards are just in another headspace when playing Flesh of Blood, which I very much admire.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty fun to be a Kano player. I'm not even a very good Kano player, and it's still pretty fun to be a Kano player. And I think have we done it? Have we run out of questions?
Oh my goodness. I think so.
Did we run out of questions? I think that's perfectly timed.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Well, you love to see it. Oh my God. And not only is it perfectly timed, but TCG Talk takes the win this weekend. Congratulations, picking up the win. I think we had a little bit of a streak going with Breezy. And probably, I think the streak has now been broken because TCG Talk's starting a streak of his own. He's like, hold the phone. This is my time. This is my meta. And, well, congratulations, sir, on picking up the win. Please give us your hottest take in Part the Mistveil history to round out the episode, all dedicated to Part the Mistveil.
Riptide is a top 4 deck, and people are going to see it eventually.
That is such a. I'm giving you an extra point for that take.
It's
You can
actually a real
extra-
one though.
That's
You
a-
I
said
think Riptide's
top
like a top 4 deck,
top
potentially top
four?
3.
I was gonna say I think he's up there higher. I think he's top
Mhm.
3. Dude is so good.
The only thing
Top
holding him back
3.
is reps from people and representation. But the hero is so good into so many of the top decks in the format right now. Specifically
he
the
is.
aggro variant that sideboards in the mid range.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Do you think it's the aggro? Or do you think it's the fatigue?
It's the aggro one that sideboard, in my opinion, that sideboards into mid range. It's like a trap package, and this like no inherent traps in the main other than the legendaries, and then you package in the traps you need.
That's interesting. I have the mid range / control built right now, which is pretty hype, and I have it sleeved up in the min max sleeves. By the way, these things are so clean. I'm
Dude,
a fan.
I need a stack.
I'm a fan. Min
I need a
max.
stack of
Gotta get those
those.
min max sleeves.
They don't sell those, do they?
I don't know actually. That's a good question. We should get Peter from
Get him.
MinMax on here to
Yeah.
tell us why they're not selling those if they don't.
For real. And the
That's
white
pretty
hoodie.
Oh yeah, dude, the white hoodie. That's exclusive right there. My white
I
hoodie's
know.
actually dirty. I somehow got like paint on it, but that actually makes it a little cooler because it's like blue
Oh, yeah.
paints, like a tiny
should
tiny
just-
little paint dots.
Just tie dye it. Make it even more one of one.
Oh, there you go. That's the play. Got to do it that way, right? That's the ticket. That's how to do it. All right, Breezy, send us off with
Yes.
your final take, and we will ride off into the sunset together.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think Vincent is actually a top 6 hero. People just don't want to admit it yet. Mostly because they can't bow down to the bald queen without getting poked in the eye with the spikes of her Iron Maiden.
Okay.
Dylan-
All right,
Dylan's so sad.
that was definitely a take. One of the takes of all time to round it out. Thanks everyone
so
for tuning in. Adam Schoof, congratulations on a top 18th finish at a 108 ProQuest Plus on Riptide. Send me your list so that I can mercilessly steal it and play it on Talishar. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. Smile and wave. Smile and wave.
Bye.